Hello and welcome to Digital Jeepney. My name is Hazel and I'm here to show you how the sampler on the iVCS3 works. To kick things off, let's check out the input-output matrix of the patch I made. It's a pretty standard patch. Oscillators 2 and 3 are controlled by the keyboard plugged into channel 1. Now let's go over to the back panel and check out the sampler. We have two samplers connected to channels 1 and 2 here, and we can activate or deactivate the samplers by tapping on these switches. Channel 2 sampler is active at the moment, but we're going to leave input channel 1 as is so that it can continue controlling the frequency of our oscillators. To load a sample, tap on Settings and tap on File Manager. It's going to bring up a list of samples already loaded in the iVCS3. You can load the file into either sampler channel 1 or sampler channel 2 or preview the file using this button. We can use this dial to adjust the speed and the direction of our playhead. You can also trim the sample by pinching and zooming into the desired section. The corresponding rows on the input-output matrix for the sampler would be these. Now let's plug in sampler channel 2 directly into output channels 1 and 2 to listen to what's going on in our sampler. This sample, by the way, comes with the iVCS3 when you download the app from the App Store. Now let's get rid of these and plug in sampler channel 2 into the envelope to mix that sound with our oscillators. We can hardly hear the oscillators, so let's adjust the sampler's amplitude by using this dial. Now that sounds a little better, but the sampler is still way too out there, so we can plug in the sampler into the filter to give it a more cohesive sound. That's more like it. But did you know that you can also use the sampler as a controller? What we're going to do now is plug in the sampler into the frequency control of oscillator 3, which is our main sound source. This is the kind of sound that I really love. The old wobbly, gritty, tape machine kind of thing that goes on in those old films. It just has so much character. To take this patch further, I'm going to remove this pin to keep sampler 2 from controlling oscillator 3. I'm going to remove the sampler from the filter as well and plug it into the meter column. What this does is that it reintroduces the sampler into all the active sections of our inputs 1 and 2. So in this case, we have channel 1 controlling oscillators 1, 2, and 3, as well as the filter. So by inserting the sampler into our meter section here, we are in effect controlling the controllers with the sampler. Right now we're not hearing any effect because we have to turn up this dial to introduce the control voltage from the meter column. Now you can hear a subtle wobbling in our oscillator. For a more pronounced effect, we should bring up the mix by using this dial. I am really loving this sound. Let's throw in a couple more things in the meter column to add more grit to our patch. And that is just perfect. Now let's listen to our patch before we throw in the sampler to the mix. And after. And finally, we can say that the patch is worthy of its patch name. So here's another example of a patch with and without the sampler. This is why I think the iVCS3 is a very powerful synth. We can incorporate long wave files into our patch design, as well as control our oscillators using these wave files or the channel inputs to bring in other instruments into the iVCS3. This will be the topic in my next tutorial. Thank you for watching, and as always, go crazy with it.